Here in this time without time, pocketed by the ever-scattering cosm, touched as an assassin touches the gun in the secret fold. There is an eon within, and I am going without. This is where we belong, interstitial, in the space between. This is where truth collapses, supercritical. There is a war, and its name is existence. There are two ways to fight. One is the sword, and one is the bomb. By the sword, I mean the way to fight that is tempered and solid. The way that is made from old things and that triumphs by the reduction to simplicity. This way is known to those who study the cosmos. Take any part of it at any time, and you will see an edge and say, this is a weapon. By the bomb, I mean the way of being that is complex and schematic and that must attain a criticality to attack. The way that is made from new things and that triumphs by the arrangement of intricacy. This way is known to those who study themselves. Take any component of the bomb in isolation, and you will say, what is this? I cannot understand its purpose. Yet in it is the possibility of a fire. Eyes up, Tarnished, and welcome back. This is Rendon, and together we're going to delve into a topic that is a perpetual undercurrent in Souls, invasions, and its associated content creation. To do this, we're going to reference a couple of videos from other creators that I will include in the info section below, as well as my own thoughts on the subject as a person who makes and has consumed hundreds and thousands of hours of videos on this very niche topic. Before I fully explain what the focus of this video will be, I want to go back and discuss the narration that I started with, a lore tab titled Palingenesis 2 from Destiny and from the perspective of Mara Sov, Queen of the Awoken. This takes place during a transition from a pocket dimension of, in a very real sense, her own creation and our normal one. Mara is reflecting on her decision to return from the reality of Near Paradise to our reality of eldritch, dark, and genocidal space gods, or sun-destroying alien empires, or instant transmission, body and planet-infecting goo automatons. Take your pick. What does this topic have to do with Souls or Elden Ring, you ask? Well, if you're a Bife or super lore nerd in Destiny, you may have already perceived the point of this, or at least comprehended what the undercurrent is that I'm hinting at. However, if you have not received the necessary insight yet, don't worry, we'll get there. The other week, I shared a video from DangitJM in lieu of the normal Sunday morning invasions content that I usually upload. Part of this was, admittedly, because I didn't have the clips I needed to post one that day, but also because, in a larger sense, I had expanded the scope of the major video I had planned to actually include them. The video by JM also had a purpose, as it was a piece of a lot of the content, new and old, that I had been consuming in the lead up to this process. The title is any of this actually fun? And was released by JM on January 1st, 2021, following the November 2020 release of the Demon's Souls remake. Besides being a good breakdown of all the biggest issues in PvP across all the Souls games, it's also a video about our community. Do we have Stockholm Syndrome? This is the first question Jim asked at the start. Are we really enjoying this? Or is it something we just stick to because of all the time we've put into it? I know this is a question I've asked myself multiple times, especially as DS3 aged, and now Elden Ring is aging. I ask this every passive double Moonveil host in Phantom, every improperly downscaled blue gesturing with Vikes or Antspur Rapier the second after Phantom is killed. In Dark Souls 3, it was every quick-stepping dragon that I had to beat like a rug with my reinforced club. Or Black Knight's shield I had to pop off with Prying Wedge. Do I love these games? Or am I just stuck as a content creator and enthusiast trying to win a never-ending war in my own head over whether or not I'm actually any good at this at all? It's a fair question, and one that is echoed in a different way by JM's video. He spends some time listing issues from each of the individual games, some of which are over my head because of my lack of experience with them in their active heydays. Issues ranging from balance with narrow meta weapon sandboxes, backflipping demon spear users, and crystal-infused giant club backstab fishers in Dark Souls 1, Jester's Chest and offhand Havel shield users with ice rapiers or warp swords in Dark Souls 2, Bone Marrow Ash abusers in Bloodborne, and low-level one-shot builds, and twinking with things like the Dark Hand in Dark Souls 3 at the Great Ball or High Wall of Lothric. Then there's glitches and mechanics abuse. Infinite gank blenders in Dark Souls 2, fog wall cheeses in Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring, rune farmers selfishly sacrificing the fun of everyone, even blues, even themselves in their world, just to utilize a subpar method of collecting runes instead of playing. Are they enjoying these games? Why are they playing? If other players are content to interact with us in ways that ruin our enjoyment by breaking the game or abusing unbalanced mechanics, should we respond to it the same way? What's the point? And yet, despite these issues, lifers exist. While return to X game events are dying down, they still happen. I can look on my Discord and see players I follow streaming Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls Remake. Draco Kimura uploads a ton of Demon Souls content every single day. If the things that weigh these games and the community perception down were so great, so massive as to be untenable, the player base would have collapsed and the dregs dispersed to other games already. Some people have left, but many, many remain. It could be that the community now is driven, at least in some portions, by the collective desire to crap on the problems in Twitch chats, or to watch people turn the most unbalanced and oppressive weapons used by the most disingenuous ganks and take them to, in turn, gank spank. Not all portions, though. Part of the issue is Reddit, but that's a pit that will never be filled. Equal part of it is From Software, slowly removing incentives to participate in PvP for both hosts and invaders. No longer can Reds earn even the most bare-bones rewards from Covenants like they could in Dark Souls 3. In Dark Souls 2, hosts could at least earn human effigies from defeating invaders, giving them skin in the game for participating in the mechanics. Hell, even blues were somewhat respectable in Dark Souls 3 because of the Blades of the Dark Moon Covenant, instead of the hollow, friendless groupies they've now become. The result of this has been greater disconnects, chasing players across vast plains of the lands between, and, I would argue, increased animosity towards invading as a whole. So, again, if From Software isn't putting the effort into this, why are we? Why should we? Let's go deeper to see if we can find out. If the question is, what is From Software giving us as motivation? We know the answer to that. Similarly, we know that a large percentage of the player base have funneled down their choices to the most spammy and least interesting builds possible. So to a large extent, if you're relying on hosts, phantoms, and blues to give you fun and unique fights in Elden Ring, you're going to be disappointed. A lot of this stems from certain types of content, specifically your million-plus views of best weapon in Elden Ring or best new rune farm for patch 1.10. Also, to a lesser extent, it's just the average players not being comfortable enough with deeper PvP mechanics. And so to make up for that, they gravitate in invasions to weapons and tactics that have a low skill floor. It just so happens that these tend to be the best weapons in the game. And so the fault again falls on From Software. It's easy to turn up our noses as longtime players in Souls games at this, but a lot of the people are playing this game for the first time and need more time to bake and come into their own. Some people won't, and they'll use Moonveil in every build until the life cycle of ER is spent. But you can't do anything for them. Still, while waiting for these players to mature and feel comfortable enough to move to more interesting things, it can be tough as an established invader to have fun utilizing anything that's non-meta. As every time you come across 3 people with Power Stance Spears, Star Shower, and Bolt of Grand Sacks, you're losing a little bit more of your hairline that started falling out 2 years ago at Elden Ring's release. Rustbucket is a content creator that focuses primarily on advanced techniques for specific weapons and weapon types in Elden Ring. His content is absolutely top-notch, but personally, it's a little too optimized to be my preferred area. Recently, though, he released a video titled Best Offhand Weapons, and said something that really resonated with me at the start. Rust begins with a discussion about people mashing R1 attacks out of hit stun with hyper armor, and how this can make interesting builds really fun to use because of how players can just rinse and repeat with little consequence, winning out on trades and forcing you to either mash back with hyper armor or pull out a heavy thrusting sword. Naturally, incentivizing the use of already overpowered and, in my opinion, very boring setups. That super complex build you spent days baking in the Elden Ring build planner, that Phantom doesn't give a shit, and will swing that 5th Colossal Sword R1 every time. Rust goes on to talk about some offhand setups that he uses to counter this that are perfectly valid and good, if not quite far out there enough to really grab my attention. But this is the startup to the big point I've been gradually dragging everyone watching this video to over, right now it's about 12 minutes. To Rust, this is a way to not fall down the only meta pipeline and keep the game interesting. It's a way to push back against the sword logic in Elden Ring. The idea that if people continue to use more and more oppressive setups to counter each other, eventually more and more interesting options will be whittled down and cut away until only the grossest and least fun options remain. It's the arms race, and it's been something every Souls community has grappled with since the beginning. It's building a bomb to beat the sword. But bombs vary in complexity, and not all of them work. For a bomb to beat a sword, all the pieces have to be assembled and work just the right way. But bombs are the rejuvenating waters of these games. They are the purging stones and altars and curse-rotted great woods where we visit to relieve the buildup of our hollowing and to witness that cool and iconic builds can happen if people just experiment. The best content, objectively, has always been unique. Think your Adam Barker Hazelpick video, DangitJM's Aquamarine Dagger, Fell's Pick and Poker, Rofo's Crescent Moon Axe, and Prin's routing of whole squads with free-aimed magma shots. These catch on because they show people that interesting things that are fun can win hard against the meta. To finish out this point, the last video we'll discuss today is from Saint Riot, a man that needs very little introduction, but is a key part in this equation. As a special side note, I want to bring up Saint's recent Kerploding Turtle build, featuring the Great Turtle Shell, Carrion Knight Sword, and Law of Causality is an excellent example of a bomb build. The more players mindlessly mash into him with R1s, the more his bomb works. It's not the strongest build ever, doesn't work every time, but when it does, it's a blast, if you get my stupid joke there. And it's fun. Other invaders can even punch him to trigger Law of Causality and kill hosts. That happened in an invasion he did. Can you imagine what this game would be like if that kind of build was more common? That video is just a special mention, and not the one I'm choosing as the main one in this discussion, but it does serve a point. At the end of January 2024, Saint released Invader Gives Elden Ring Players Experience They Deserve. Saint talks about how he's generally a silly guy, and that is his default point as an invader. Generally, he is trying out and aiming to make fun things work in PvP, because that is what he finds rewarding. Saint is not an arena content creator. However, being a silly guy is difficult, as it involves some of the bomb logic I was describing earlier. A lot of his silly builds were encountering players that weren't very fun to use them against, and as a result, he decided to step away for a bit. And when he returned, opted for more of a build that lets the players he encountered choose their own experience, silly or not so silly. Essentially, he had opted for a cute but mean build. This had refreshed his enjoyment in subsequent invasions and improved his outlook for the game up until DLC. There's nothing wrong with picking up a sword if your bomb needs more time to function. In the same vein, there's nothing wrong with stepping away from the game altogether until DLC gives you more parts to make your bomb. I don't know if this video is going to get taken down because I keep mentioning bombs all the time, but I guess we'll see. What I'm trying to say is that you can't make a pick and poker setup every month, or even every couple of months. It takes time. And that time, and the losses, teabagging, and frustration along the way can mentally wear you down. Sometimes no amount of time will make your bomb work, and that can lead to negativity. Rather than letting that poison your enjoyment and attitude towards other players, just step away, or pick up a sword. Just make it cute. I will never say that playing optimized to deal with ganks is bad, but if we had a healthier mindset and a more generally adventurous player base, would it be as necessary? Would you, as a heavily optimized player, stay that way outside of the arena? Or would you be happier with more interesting builds? Saint said, "It doesn't matter what the co-opers think. They couldn't appreciate what I'm doing regardless. Even if I hit them with the dopest combo of all time, they wouldn't get it, and that's okay. I'm not doing it for them. We are doing it for us." At the risk, again, of having this video taken down, I'll say, don't give up on making your bombs. Thanks for watching. And I'm still here, continuing the tradition of not having quite enough commentary to put on all the clips that I've shown in the video. We are unedited, unscripted here at the end. There was actually a whole lot more that I wanted to include on this, but it just got too big. The commentary I put out just wasn't enough to fill out everything on here, and I didn't want to stretch it too far at the expense of quality. So I'm just going to cut off the end of it with one particular build and actually put that on one of the morning coffee videos. I'll probably put some commentary on it just to talk a little bit about it, so you can look forward to that. The end of it is on this video though, so you'll get to see at least what the build is and get an idea of what that whole video will be next Sunday when it comes out. I have taken another small step away from Elden Ring. All the footage you're seeing here is over the past couple of months from 3 builds in particular. First one is the Dark Tree Puppet. This one is the Starless. He's just been upgraded from rune level 40. Basically took Axe of Godric and was dealing with the lack of hyper armor on the weapon art. Fixed that with an offhand dagger and the Endure Ash of War. So from software, there you go. I fixed it for you. Please fix the hyper armor on this weapon. This is only a temporary fix, but it does work. And the last one will be the candle page, which you'll see here in a minute, and we'll show kind of some details about what that is. Until Elden Ring comes out, I'm going to be putting out a couple of videos with some, for the, again, those coffee videos on Sundays. Probably some Dark Souls 3 coming up soon, after the next one, obviously, which will be featuring the candle page. Because, again, Elden Ring has been great, but I've got to play a bunch of other things right now. Everybody in the world is playing Helldivers 2, and I am as well, with like 3 different friend groups, so that's taking up a ton of time. I am actually, right now, playing, well, I bought Warcraft Reforged, which is a bit of a travesty, but it was to play the Chronicles of the Second War modded campaign, which redoes the Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness Orc campaign, and that has been an absolute blast. I'm about, I think, maybe 3/4 the way through it right now, and I've absolutely loved it. It is so much fun to play. It's easy to download. It's been great. And I think they're going to release the human side of it on Warcraft 2 as well, and a bunch of other stuff later on, which might take a while, but I'm here for it. It has been a ton of fun. Besides that, watching things like True Detective, I've got some other shows I want to watch. I also want to watch Record of the Lodos War. I need to find out where I can watch that, just friends keep recommending that to me. My point is I have a ton of stuff to catch up on, including work and everything that's on my plate. So I'm going to begin, again, be playing Elden Ring. I'm going to be putting out videos on Sundays, some Dark Souls 3 in there. But the next big video, provided we don't get any, some DLC updates at the end of this month will probably be sometime in March, maybe early April, and hopefully around that time we will be getting Elden Ring DLC, or at least have a clear time frame for when it comes out. That's really it. You can expect a couple more things from me. I'll look forward to seeing all of y'all next Sunday. Again, I'll have some discussion about the candle page and that build on that video. But I'll include the other builds below this video. And why not? I'll just go ahead and throw this build on the bottom of it too so you can see it. Thanks again for watching. I hope you all have a great Friday.